What's going on, junkies? It's Brandon Dukeman here, along with Will Harvey. And thanks for joining us today for another daily episode. We are excited to get started with this episode today. We've got a young entrepreneur who just has an incredible story. So we're ready to get diving in. But before that, don't forget to subscribe to the show so that way you're not missing any of our daily episodes. And join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/Wealth Junkies. Will, let's get rolling.
Thanks, Brandon. Today on the show, we have Isaac Fleming. So Isaac and I met a couple months ago at a multifamily conference, and his within 2 minutes, I could tell that his story was just unbelievable. And he took a huge leap of faith, and he's going to get into all that. So he went from being an intern to second in line at one of the largest apartment syndication companies in the country, and he's in line to take over it. There's a plan in place for him to be the succession plan, if you will. And he is only 21, and he took the leap of faith at age 20, and he's just killing it. So with that, Isaac, thanks so much for coming on our show. Can you just give the listeners a little bit more about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, man. And first, I just want to say I'm absolutely honored. I mean, you guys have an awesome show, and I'm super happy to be here. And then I can share my story and hopefully help some people that are just like me that just need that spark. So
absolutely,
I guess I'll start from the beginning. So fresh out of high school, I went to college. I was going to run nuclear power plants. So it was very
that's unique.
Yeah, it's kind of a niche job, but I come from a family of educators. So my dad's a very, very good teacher, ACT wizard. So, my family, there's like both my sisters, they're very, book smart, this. And I sort of think outside the box. So if I was going to go to college, I wanted to be for something a little different. So I went for that. I was going to run nuclear power plants. So I got there, and I just realized pretty soon that I was different than a lot of people there. It's a good job, it's great for a lot of people, but it's very cut and dry. This is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. Here's the rules you don't break. They're very strict.
Clock in, clock out, that type of thing.
Yes. And very I just didn't love it. And I saw the way I think about careers. I try to think what's the farthest I can go? Like, what does the top level look like? Because that's what I want to plan on doing, down the road. It may not happen eventually, but I want to know what at least is possible. So in this certain job, I had instructors that were 45 years old. They were still working from midnight to 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. I was thinking that's not very sweet.
No.
So I just I saw that, and it just didn't feel right, and I'm sort of impatient. So I got out of there, and I went back to a closer college. I kept going to school, and because I thought that's what people do. You go to college, you get a good job, you get a career, and that's what you do. So,
right. That's what we're all taught.
Yeah, for sure. And especially coming from family of educators, that was there. My dad has always supported me in whatever I wanted to do, but it's, that's obviously his passion and his course. So I wanted to at least try that. So I kept going to college, and I was just like, man, why am I here? I was like, I don't know why I'm here. I'm spending money. I'm learning stuff. It's not awesome stuff, but I've always had jobs. I mean, since I was 15, a lifeguard was the earliest job I could legally get at 15. So that's when I started working in a crazy amount of different industries. And I've always worked super hard at that. And I don't know, I just kind of wanted something different. I wanted something that wasn't, I always wanted to be successful, but I didn't necessarily want to be the college route. That was what my sisters are going to do, and they're doing now, and they're absolutely killing it in college. But I wanted something different. So I dropped out of college for the second time. That was pretty hard on my family. And I just worked a variety of jobs. And in those jobs,
how far into college were you when you dropped out for the second time?
Second time, I was about a year there. So just like 2.5 years total.
Okay.
Dude, I'm a double dropout too. We didn't even talk about that when we met. That's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So first time you have to say, yeah, Dad, I'm dropping out of nuclear engineering school. And then you're like, yeah, Dad, I'm just dropping out of college, period.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What was his reaction? What was your family's reaction?
My family, they understood it. They just wanted to see me figure it out. So
Okay.
they could tell that it wasn't for me. So they understood that part, but they're like, man, you gotta figure something out. And I knew I had to also. So,
Yeah.
I was working at these jobs and doing really great at them. I was offered promotions and, hey, how about you open up a branch for me down here and this sort of thing. And I just kept turning it down. I was like, no, like, I don't want to get caught in this town. Like, no, I'm going to get out somehow. And finally with, no college degree, that led me to deciding that I was going to apply for the railroad. So I was like, with no college degree, I can apply, make pretty decent money. I'd probably hate my life, but that's the options I got right now. So I decided
The railroad. What do you mean?
So I was gonna, be a conductor, drive trains.
Oh wow.
So and I've known some people that come from my small town and done the same thing and done really well. So
to be honest, I didn't even know there was like job applications to be a conductor, but
yeah.
I mean, I assumed they just kind of appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, same.
you know, but that's interesting.
I mean, coming from mine and Cory's town is 12,000 people. That's a relatively common job.
Right.
And I run into a couple of people that they made a good living for themselves. They worked pretty bad hours and holidays, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to suck it up. Like that's what I want to do. If I want to be successful and not just be starving for money all the time, I was like, sometimes things got to suck. So
yep.
That's what I was gonna do. And that's what I told my family, and they're like, okay, I'm glad you've picked something and you're sticking to it. And the day came. I was like, everyone kept asking me, so when are you gonna do this? I was like, this date, I think it was sometime in September, a couple years ago. And the day came, and I was just sitting there on my laptop, like getting ready to apply for these jobs. And I was just like, man, I can't do it. I mean, I sat there for probably 3 hours just looking at reviews of these companies, and I was trying to figure out who the best people were to know so I get the best application. I just dove into it. I just couldn't do it. And
wow.
It was super hard, and I want to backtrack a little bit. So this whole time I had met Cory. I didn't know him very well. Right. So I met Cory that summer at his high school class reunion.
Why don't we real quick give a quick background on who Cory Peterson is for our listeners out there that don't know. You want to describe who he is?
Yeah, for sure. So Cory Peterson came from we share a hometown. He actually went to high school with my parents, but he's a best-selling author. He's a multifamily syndicator of over $95 million in real estate. Coming from the same town that I came from.
He's a beast.
No college experience. Oh yeah, multifamily legacy podcast. I mean, larger than life. He's an awesome dude and super successful. And he came from the same town I came from. So I met Cory a couple months ago before I was going to apply for the railroad, and I met him at his high school class reunion. I really didn't know how big of a deal he was. My buddy was just like, hey, let's go to my dad's high school class reunion and grab some beer, then go fishing. I was like, okay, cool, solid plan. And we get there, and he's like, the big kahuna's here. I was like, who's the big kahuna, and why is he here? And he was like, yeah, it's my dad's buddy. He does real estate. And I was like, okay, interesting. So a little mental note to talk to him. And so I ran into him and it's like, hey man, I introduced myself, and he's like, oh, I know your mom. Like, yeah, we went to school together. And, then I got him talking about what he did. He signed me up for his podcast, Multifamily Legacy Podcast, right then and there. And it's kind of like, wow, I didn't fully understand it, but I was like, that's super interesting. And at that point, I didn't know how big he was. I didn't know he bought multi-million-dollar properties every single year. So yeah, that's pretty
multiple
cool.
Times a year.
Yeah, multiple times. It's been craziness here lately. but I was like, yeah, that's really cool. I don't know if it's for me. Cause I have that, at that point I had that small town mindset where just like, you grow up, you get a job, you do this. And it's very, you don't do anything too crazy,
Right. You stay
I
within
was
the
like,
box. Don't draw outside the lines, that type of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, man, that's really cool. Don't really know if it's an option for me, but that's awesome. So, but while I was working these jobs, I'd listen to his podcast. And then Cory actually, he sent me his book and I read his book. And through listening to his podcast and knowing Cory, I started to understand the business. And then I started thinking of the potential. And I was like, what's the limit? What's the limit on real estate? Like, how far can you go? Like, that is absolutely limitless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could be a Donald Trump. You could own millions and millions and millions. Like,
Right.
as hard as you want to work, like, you'll go as far as you want. So I was like, wow, that's super inspiring. And this is while working my shitty job, And so
Yeah.
I'd always kind of like look up that and like, man, that'd be really awesome. But
So you kind of had that motivation looking ahead, and then you had the current motivation of you hate what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's kind of a perfect storm.
Yeah. So I have this idea in the back of my head. I was like, man, that'd be really cool. But I also have this pressure from a lot of people I know in my family to, hey, go do this, just do something that's safe and secure and make some money and
right. Get a pension in 20 years. And
yeah, exactly. So finally that day came where it's just kind of like, it was judgment day where it's like, what are you going to do? I set it for myself. So I had, the pressure from here's what I kind of want to do back here. And here's what everyone else kind of wants me to do. And finally I called Cory. I was like, and he actually picked up, which is a miracle because that dude is busy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And I was like, Cory, man, like, I can't do it. Like, I can't apply for the railroad. I was like, I just decided right then. I was like, you just let me know what I have to do. I was like, I'll do it. Like, I don't really know what I'm stepping into, but I know you're successful and I know you're a good dude, and just let me know what I have to do. I want to do what you do. And he's like, okay, come to my boardroom. We'll see if you like it. We'll see if you can learn it, and we'll see if you can do the business. I was like, okay. So I told my parents, and they're like, and my family, they're like, what? You didn't apply for that good job? You're going to go down to Arizona to learn investing in multi-million-dollar apartment complexes? And I was like, yes, exactly.
From this
I'm sure they definitely
guy.
It. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and that's when it was craziness. That
did he make you pay for the boardroom?
No. So Cory invited me down. No,
nice,
so that was free charge. But I was surrounded by super successful wholesalers, multimillionaires. I mean, just a room full of super high caliber people.
Yeah.
And here I am, this little scared 20-year-old, just trying to learn, just trying to figure out if this is for me, And Shelly, man, Cory's wife, we had to do some demonstrations during the boardroom where we had to sell our Cutability kit. And, I am literally a day and a half in to the entire real estate world.
Yeah.
And she has me go up there in front of everyone and, sell the cred kit. And
how'd you do?
I think I did pretty good. Looking back, I'm sure it was awful.
Right. That's hilarious.
I got it done. And it was, but that, that pain and that, that being scared, I feel like it's super valuable. And so
yeah.
I'm thankful for it looking back. By the time I was like, damn, Shelly,
That's so funny.
So so I finished the boardroom, met some awesome people, and it was like, yeah, this is a crazy world. And I still didn't totally understand it, but I got the general idea of it. I kind of understood what he was doing. And so when that was done, I was getting ready to fly back, and Cory's like, I'm going to offer you an internship. Like I want to actually move you down here and have you learn my company. I was like, yep, that's it. And I didn't know him really well at the time. I was hoping he was serious. I was really counting on it. But I wasn't 100% sure. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So a couple months passed.
So you didn't even think twice?
I didn't think twice. I said, yes, absolutely.
I love it.
And I flew back and told my family, not only did I just learn this, I'm going to move there.
So they were like, why are you even going there on this trip? And then you come back, lo and behold, you're like, oh, I'm packing up everything and moving there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like,
That's
I'll be here
hilarious.
for 2 more months, and then I'm leaving everything I've ever known. I'm gonna go do this. And they still aren't sure about it. You know, they don't know about it. So
Right.
I mean, I get shit from everyone I know. I mean, family, friends are like, "What are you doing?" Like money laundering, scam, like all this
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like,
It's just because they don't understand what you're doing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and you can't blame them. You know, like it's a crazy thing to do, to
Yeah.
start syndications and buy multi-million-dollar real estate. So, I mean, you can't blame them.
Well,
They're just looking after me, but they didn't know. So,
Right.
anything seems crazy when you pick up and leave across the country to do something, especially after not really knowing the person for very long or
yeah.
anything. But I mean, what did you have any hesitation or any reluctancy there, or were you nervous? Can you just talk
I
about
mean,
that?
yeah, I was super nervous.
Yeah.
So I was nervous. It was scary, but I was like, man, if there's ever an opportunity, like I was like, this has just got to be it. Like I can't turn this down, you know. So
Yeah. You'd have too many
yeah,
what ifs later in
Right.
life.
And you'd
yeah,
probably be stuck working on the railroad.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, and like I already like dismissed that thought, and you know,
Mhm.
from listening to Corey's podcast, reading his book, I was already thinking bigger, and I was like, yeah, this has got to be it.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely there's pressures, like I said, from my family. You know, my grandparents were just freaking out. They just, you know, it was just like, what are you doing? You know, come on. And all my friends, and they, yeah, it was tough. So January, I packed up all my clothes, you know, everything I owned, and my guitar, and drove my Jeep to Arizona, and you know, just started learning right away.
So
And
what'd you start doing once you got there?
Yeah. What was the first day like?
I started out first with digital marketing. So I took lots of marketing classes, and learning that thing, and really learning how to display Cory's brand, and just lots of tasks that were uncomfortable for me, but made me a lot better as a person, and as a business person. Shelly has worked with me a lot through that,
Okay.
through getting to talk to people. So I started out with that marketing stuff. And really, I mean, Cory calls it jumping out of a plane and building your parachute on the way down. I mean, that's just really the way it is. I mean, he just threw me right
That's
in.
a really good analogy.
Yeah.
I like that. And how would you say, would there have been a difference if you had prepared a bunch and studied and done all that, or are you glad the way you did it, just jumping right in?
You know, I really don't think it would have made a difference, because there's nothing, I mean, it is so different than any other job I've ever worked.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah,
That's what I was, because most people have analysis or paralysis by analysis,
yeah, for
and
sure.
they think that they have to study over
Mhm.
and over and over and over, and they're never ready to get into something. But I mean, just jumping in has how you learn it. So, and you're living
Yeah.
proof of that.
Yeah, I mean, I could read a ton of business books, and I actually did. Me and my buddy, we would exchange books quite a bit before I went down there. So we read lots of business books, but there's nothing like the experience just going in and actually doing it yourself. Because I can know all the terms and all this sort of thing, but there's nothing like working in a business where it's just, you know, stuff's getting fired at you every single day, and you just got to
Absolutely.
figure it out. And I feel like that skill is just so valuable to have.
Yeah,
I mean, problem solving, that's what makes us all successful, is just being able to adapt and problem solve.
that's it. You know, you're paid on your value, your worth is in direct correlation to how many problems you can solve.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
you're exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little difficult at first, because Cory was like, you know, I asked him something, he'd be like, figure it out.
That sounds like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you know, at the time it was frustrating, but it really is, it's good stuff. And that's, you know, it's so valuable just to be able to, for him to show, like, he knew I could do it. You know, it wasn't just like I was totally clueless. So he knew I could do it, but he wanted me to figure it out, and know I could do that. And that way I could figure more stuff out. And so that was super valuable.
So give us the progression of when you got there. You're as they say, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You have no idea
Mhm.
what to do. You're super
Mhm.
green.
Yeah.
What was the progression from there? Because I'm sure day one, Cory wasn't ready to hand you the keys of of the Ferrari,
No,
that
no.
came in time. So tell us how you got to there.
So starting out, like I said, I started taking some marketing courses. A lot of that stuff was online. He was just prepping me to understand this information and kind of how he operates. So I took lots of online marketing stuff. I went through his Apartments to Millions course. He was just trying to get me familiar with the whole industry, because it's a crazy complex industry.
Yeah.
So lots of courses. Then he'd start giving me small projects. So he'd be like, make this document for me, and then I'd make it. And then I learned the importance of branding and branding guides and consistency with your marketing and that sort of thing. And he would slowly give me bigger projects and more duties. He'd be like, well, do you think you can do our social media? So yeah, sure. So I figured that out. And how about you produce a podcast or make this binder for me? Sure. And then it got to Shelly says, hey, we're going to go raise money. So we're going to start learning how to raise money. And so then me and Shelly would go back and forth, and we do our, our spiels on raising money and words to use, how to phrase it, what to look like, what to say, and so just slowly but surely they'd give me bigger and bigger and more important tasks, stuff that they knew I could handle. But it was always uncomfortable learning it. But getting past that was just so rewarding. Going on to just the next task and getting that done,
Right.
it was so rewarding. So
Yeah, I bet.
And I'm sure at some point you could see kind of a trend of, hey, if I do this well, something bigger and better is going to come. So
For
it
sure.
probably motivated you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what keeps me going is just knowing that there's like that next step.
Right.
So, I mean, I've got lots of duties now, but I enjoy that, because that's just, I mean, I'm just moving up, just leveling up.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it really is. So tell us about just what the plan is moving forward, what the succession plan is. I know, if it's proprietary stuff, you don't have to tell us,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but just tell us about that and just your vision for moving forward and what you want your life to look like in business and all of that.
Yeah. So, my title at the company is Mr. Everything, and that's because I'm literally
It's on his business card.
Yeah.
Great. I love it.
Yeah. But I'm learning every facet of the business. So from underwriting to raising money to marketing, just to workflows and organization within the company. I'm learning every part of that. So right now I'm focusing on a lot of underwriting and raising money. So I'm really getting those processes nailed down. Once I get those nailed down, then it'll be on to, some organizational type things and company structure. But right now it's just going out, raising money for deals, and then understanding the financials behind those, so that, we can find and fund deals all day long. And that way, when Cory and Shelly want to go live their life of sunsets and palm trees, that they can absolutely do that, and they can just check in with me, and that way they'll know that I know what to do, and I know what I'm talking about.
Right. They've been building that trust with you and trusting that you can handle everything that's thrown at you.
Yeah. And man, there's no better teachers. I mean, Cory from just the life and business skills, and Shelly. I mean, Shelly used to be a rock star pharma salesman, and man, she is. I mean, Will, you met her. She's awesome.
Oh, she's hilarious. She's so smart. Yeah, she is awesome.
There's no better person,
no question,
to work with in the sales. I mean, we'll call it sales, but it's really how you present
it is sales
and talk to people.
Right.
So man, she's been a rock star with that. Going back and forth, I would say, hey, my name is Isaac Fleming with Kuhn Investments. She'd cut me off. She'd say, smile more, louder. Like,
yeah, she's direct. She doesn't beat around the bush. That's for sure. And no, that's and what you said about them being great teachers and all that. That's so true. I mean, Cory's podcast, the Multifamily Legacy podcast, is incredible. And I was recently on there, and I just talked about how when I got started in multifamily and all of that, and just the idea of passive income and not working not trading time for money, his podcast was just instrumental to me getting started, and me and another guy, Zach Greger, who him and I would get together once a week, and it was like we'd listen to Cory's podcast, get together, and like kind of try to implement what we had learned on it. So I mean, Cory is just an unbelievable teacher, and he's really real. He's not. There's no fluff. There's none of that. He's just authentic. So it's really cool.
Man, I'll tell you. I mean, I'm around Cory almost 24/7, and who he is in real life and who he is in that podcast. Like, there's only one Cory Peterson. He doesn't know how to be anybody but himself.
I love that.
That's awesome.
It's so cool.
So, Isaac, what's been the toughest thing for you just picking up and leaving and starting this new adventure?
It would probably be a lot of, everyone I'm close to, them not necessarily understanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard when you get around these sort of people. It's hard to talk about millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of income through something you want to do without sounding like a douche.
Right?
So
because they can't even fathom that.
Yeah, in our world, we can talk about it like, yeah, man, that's awesome. Like, that's really cool. So, I think of it as the higher up you get, the smaller your circle is. Like, you're running a race, and if you want to be first, there's not going to be a lot of people around you. So the farther you run, the faster you run, you're going to be more, I guess, alone. And if you want to be mediocre, go back with the pack, and you'll have lots of friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So. I mean, I guess that's it. Just not being able to relate on that business level with a ton of people. I can't with you guys. But that's something I wasn't really expecting going into it.
Right.
What? Go ahead, Will.
No, I was going to say, what would you tell somebody that's listening to this and is in a similar situation that you're in, where maybe they're in a small town, maybe they're not, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't necessarily want to have a W-2 job. They want to do something. What would you tell that person? What steps should they take?
I mean, I think they should try to find something as scary as possible and probably do it.
That's so good.
If you can.
But that's scary, Isaac.
What's that?
I said, but that's scary.
Oh, yeah, man. But I'm telling you, if you can just see yourself, you're like, man, if I could just get that job and live a comfortable life and you have a good retirement, then you're probably not going to be happy.
That seems so boring.
People. Yeah.
I mean, that just seems so boring to me.
Yeah. So I think if you're not just, challenging and pushing yourself to do something bigger or scarier, then you're probably not going to be where you want to be, because life's going to happen, so just go out and do it. And especially, at our age, we can, it's.
Yep.
So I say go do it.
That's like just such good advice. Drop the mic.
Yeah. Seriously. So I was talking with Will a little bit before this about you. Cory, you live with Cory now, don't you?
Yes. Yep.
Wow. That's so, I mean, he's really been a life changer for you.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
He's mentor, boss.
Absolutely altered the course of my life. I mean, Cory tries to, Cory and Shelly like, man, imagine where you'd be in 5 years. I was like, man, I didn't think I'd be here in a year. So,
that's so true.
I mean, he's absolutely altered the course of my life, and I'm just from the way he's got me to think. He's got me to think about things differently. Like almost everything is possible. You just got to find a way to do it. And before I think, well, just being a millionaire, like that's for other people. That's like other people do that. That's not for me. And Cory's way of thinking is like, well, here's steps you got to take. That is 100% possible. You just got to do this and this and this and this, and just breaking down those bonds and in your mind is just, that's one of the greatest things Cory has given me. And it's
that's so true. He's unbelievable with that, and I can totally relate to that. I had a meeting with someone when I was just getting started in the mortgage business, and it was like it was after the first year. My first year, I wanted to make the first year I wanted to make six figures, and I was,
Mhm.
fortunate to do that. And then it was like, I want to double it and make 200. And that was the goal. And I remember sitting down and meeting with this one guy who's local to our area, this guy that owns this real estate brokerage firm. And he's in his early 30s and is just super, super successful.
Yeah.
And I grabbed coffee or lunch or something with him, and he is telling me about his progression when he started in real estate. And he's like, yeah, my first year I did this, my second year I did this, and my third year I was making well over $1 million a year. And then when I heard that, it was just like, boom, the ceiling totally
Yeah.
was lifted, was broken off of what I thought was possible.
Yes.
And so you're spot on when you say that. And the only way that you can really break that ceiling is to get outside of your mind and talk to somebody else, listen to podcasts, and do that kind of thing. Really educate yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that was absolutely a revolutionary moment in your life.
Sure.
When you realize that is possible. So, that's why I want to continue working with Cory and eventually, take this company over so I can give Cory that, that life of sunsets and palm trees, because he's given me something that money can't buy. That way of thinking. So that's going to be my way of giving back, is giving him everything that he's deserved and earned.
That's awesome.
That's huge. So Isaac, is there anything that you would have done differently?
No, honestly, I think that through my struggles with college and a job, it really just solidified that, hey, this isn't for me. These shitty jobs, I don't want to do this. So honestly, I wouldn't have done it any bit differently, because I feel like going through that, and as I think Jocko Willing says, embracing the suck, you learn what you don't want to do.
Absolutely.
So up to that point, I didn't know what I want to do, but I definitely knew what I didn't want to do. So if I hadn't done that, I would have been like, well, man, like maybe college is the right thing to do. Maybe getting a job is the right thing to do. So I'm glad I went through that. So I got to the point where I understood when this opportunity came up. It was nothing like everything I had done, and that was a good thing. So I don't think I would have done anything differently.
That's so great. Yeah, imagine an alternate universe if you had not said yes to Cory, you said no, I'm going to go the safe route, the quote unquote safe route.
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't be, if we asked you that question now, you probably would be saying, oh, I kind of regret not saying yes to this crazy real estate guy.
Yeah.
So I think that just taking a leap of faith like that is crucial, especially if you're young. If you don't have a family, if you don't have kids, take risks, do stuff like that. I mean, you can always rebound.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of these people think that because they've worked these shitty jobs or have not been in good situations a lot of their life, I think they feel that they're at a disadvantage. But that's actually an advantage. They understand that that's not what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
One of the
so true
successful lawyers from my hometown, he said, I didn't want to be a lawyer, but my dad was a farmer. I definitely didn't want to farm. So he got as far away from the farm as he could. He went to law school, in Michigan, and ended up being a super successful lawyer. And
wow,
yeah, that's what you got to do. You just got to mark boxes off. This is not it, not it, not it, and eventually you find what you want to do.
That's so good.
So Isaac, are your parents now a little more accepting now that they kind of see the path that you're headed down?
Yes, they are. I mean, my mom and dad. My mom has known Cory since 7th grade. My dad has always trusted me. So, but now they truly understand what we're doing, and they see me work on these projects, and I go home and rattle off, what we're doing to them for 2 hours, and not even realize, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's that's pretty cool. So they're definitely more accepting now.
That's great.
There's definitely a curve though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also back to, all your friends and people that are calling you crazy and stuff. Well, once they see, the final, not the final product, but kind of some results of what is happening, they're going to be like, oh no, I thought you were going to do it the whole time. We were supporting you. They're going to BS you the whole time. after that because they realized that you're successful, whereas they were talking shit behind your back the whole time, saying, "Oh, it's stupid, doing the money
Yeah.
laundering." Yeah, so
Yeah.
That's right.
it's
I mean, that's just the way it goes, and it's just a different world,
absolutely.
So I get it.
Yeah, and it's
Exactly.
just because they don't understand, and they have their own mindset of, well, I've got my cushy job where I'm
Yeah.
saving up my retirement right now, and I'm gonna have this pension when I'm done, blah blah blah. So
Yeah. But I mean,
Exactly.
so I went home a while back and I was talking to my buddies about that, and they're like, because I've been in almost a year and just really hard at it, and they're like, so we're just kind of talking about why are you doing this? Like, you're obviously committed. Like, why are you doing this? And it's like, well, I want to be I want to be like Cory. I want to be the provider. I want to be able to take, if you guys are available, it's like, hey, be like, hey, we're going to Hawaii, paid for. That's what Cory does. That's what I want. Like, that's why I want to do this, is to be able to have those options. And so I feel like they're starting to, we're having those conversations and they're starting to like, okay, so that's, that's your motives. And I get it, but there definitely is a learning curve, and it's totally different. And that's fine if you don't want that, but it's good to have those conversations.
Yeah, I totally agree.
yeah, when you mentioned the Hawaii trip, I kind of had a similar experience where I kind of realized, hey, this is what I want to do. We were actually watching the final game of when the Washington Capitals won the Stanley Cup. I was at some brewery place or wherever, and they won. And one of the guys there was like, "Hey, I'm buying everybody the last drink." And I mean, there were probably 50, 60 people there, and I was like, and just I was watching him after that because I was like, obviously this guy is either really stupid or can actually afford this, and it felt good to know that there's people out there like that. And I was like, man, I want to be that guy that
Yes.
can be able to attribute to everybody's enjoyment. And I'm not doing
Yeah.
it for the recognition of oh, I'm the guy that can afford the drinks for everybody, but
Yeah.
I just want to be able to provide, like you said.
Yeah, it's a strange, because a lot of people see that as, oh man, that guy's just showing off. But you feel good when you're able to do things like that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
people
exactly
were
right.
running inside to go get beers and stuff. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I was the only person that actually went up and thanked him for it.
Yeah.
But I know he's not doing it for that. But it just, it's like you
It's
said,
cool.
you'd be able to do that. So
Yeah, and he felt good the rest of the night
absolutely
because he got to provide that to 60 people, like,
right.
just instantly. So that's amazing. That's
Yeah, that is. Well, before we jump into the moments of truth questions, what are some cool things that you and Kahuna are doing right now?
Well, we're working on a couple secret things, but we just
Okay.
launched our first mastermind group, and that has been amazing. It's a small model. We capped out our first group at 15 people, and man, that's just a group of really special individuals. I mean,
Okay. Very
they're
cool.
super high functioning people that just really want to get a deal, and we just put them all in one room and watch magic happen. So that's our newest
great.
endeavor, and that's been awesome. I'm basically their main contact to Cory, so I deal with each and every member, and it's been incredible. So that's what we've been doing lately is launching our first mastermind and going through with that. So
Very cool.
that's a newest project, and it's been awesome.
You guys have any deals in the pipeline?
Yeah, so we're closing on one 3 days from now, and we have
Okay.
another one right after that. So
No kidding.
That's
Wow,
exciting.
you guys are busy.
Hustling.
yeah, no breaks.
I love
we
it.
have more in our underwriting folders that we're going to try and qualify. So
I love that.
Never take the foot off the gas here.
That's right.
That's great. That's
Cory
great.
knows nothing else other than go 100 miles an hour or go 0
That's-
miles an hour. Or
you
don't
either
even do
you
it.
either like you either learn to swim or sink. Like
That's it.
Yeah,
that's just the way it works here.
absolutely.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, Isaac, we're going to jump into our moments of truth segment here. It's the same 7 questions we ask all of our guests, and let's hear what you got to say. Who is your success role model?
Cory. I mean, it's just got to be Cory.
Yep.
Yep.
I know it's basic, but it's got to be him.
No, I would agree with
That's
that.
understandable. And the people listening to this now, if you're not Googling who Cory Peterson is, if you're not trying to learn more, then there's something wrong with you, because
Yeah,
we've said his name at least 100 times in this episode. So he's obviously somebody that you should know about.
that's exactly right. Isaac, what's your biggest success so far? I know you're only 21.
My biggest success has been learning to change the way I think about things and
Love it.
processing things differently, knowing that things are possible, that you just got to follow a certain set of steps and rules to get there.
That's great.
That's perfect. What's a typical day for you look like?
Well, it's they're pretty scattered right now, but typically I'll start work at 8, deal with emails, deal with some of our mastermind members. I'll probably do an underwriting, might do a little marketing, social media stuff, produce a podcast. I've been working on web design lately. Basically, whatever task Cory throws me, and I'll work on that. And I have a couple long-term projects always going on, but basically whatever needs done. And if I don't know it, I'll learn it.
Very cool.
That's a great attitude to it too. There's a lot of people that if I don't know it, I can't do it. If I don't know it, I'm gonna figure out how to do it.
Yeah. What's your favorite quote?
Discipline equals freedom by Jocko Willink. I've really learned that if you do things you don't want to do, they're going to put you in a better spot, and I feel like that's one of the most truest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's like the whole, what is it? It's a quote. It's something like, if you do what others won't do, you'll be able to do what others can't do, or something like that.
Yeah, same thinking, man.
Yeah.
Like, and you see the dudes with great bodies or lots of money, like they just didn't get there by
Right.
on the couch eating potato chips. Like
that's exactly right.
They worked for it.
That's right.
Yeah. What are some of your hobbies?
Guitar. That's kind of my escape right now. After work, I just like to jam a little bit. I used to hunt back home. I can't do a lot of hunting out here, but I'm about to get into that. So
you could hunt coyote, right?
I was just about to say.
But yeah, my buddy's getting me into another expensive hobby, bow hunting. So I'm starting archery lessons, and hopefully I'm gonna go elk hunting next year.
Oh, nice. That's
cool.
Yeah, that is an expensive hobby.
He's really good at that.
That's hilarious. What's the best business book that you've read?
So I think it's Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It's not necessarily for business. David actually does business coaching. So one of our mastermind members was actually coached by David. I figured it out yesterday.
Really?
But
That's awesome.
he does an 8-week program. But basically it's a story about David grew up in this kind of like gangbanger home, really bad environment, turned into kind of a fat piece of crap that couldn't do anything. And then he just one day something just snapped and he just wanted to turn his life around.
Wow.
Got in shape, got fit, turned into a Navy SEAL,
No kidding.
and he runs ultra marathons. He just like whatever is the hardest thing he could possibly do, he does it. And just that message and that attitude, I feel like is so valuable with business. So it's not necessarily a do this business book, but I feel like the attitude you get from it is very, very valuable.
That's great.
Yeah, he's a great speaker too. The emotion in his words and stuff. We've listened to some of his podcasts. It's crazy.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't read it, actually I have it right here. Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins. Definitely go check that one out. It's nice. Awesome.
So Isaac, last question here. If there's one key piece of advice you could leave our listeners with about achieving success, what do you think it would be?
Get outside your comfort zone and stay there.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're living proof of that.
Always continue trying to get out of your box, right? Outside of your comfort.
For sure.
Life
Life starts outside your comfort zone.
That's right.
Very true. And look where you're at now. So that's awesome.
Yeah, way out there.
Yeah. So Isaac, how can our listeners get in contact with you?
So you can email me, Isaac, ISAAC at Kahuna Investments. Check out got to plug our podcast, Multifamily Legacy Podcast. Check us out at Kahuna Wealth Builders on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and Kahuna Investments on Facebook.
Love it.
That's awesome. Well, Isaac, we appreciate you being on the show, and we love hearing the young guys overcoming everything and hearing your story. I think it's really inspirational, and if if you're out there listening and you're in his shoes, I think that's great. So we appreciate you being on the show today. And for our listeners, don't forget to subscribe to the show so that way you're not missing any of our daily episodes. And join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/Wealth Junkies. Again, Isaac, we appreciate you being on.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.